This is one of the few Psalms in the Bible where the Psalm ends as it begins. In most of the Psalms, especially some of these problem and prayer Psalms, which is what this is, the writer takes you on a journey. He begins in one place, ends in another. He begins in fear. He ends in peace. He begins in sorrow and ends in joy. But that's not the case with Psalm 88. He is in a sense of anguish from start to finish. What are some of the things that you saw in the psalm as we read it? Obviously, we saw despair and abandonment, a sense of rejection from God. In the language of modern psychology, this is what we would call complete physical, emotional, and spiritual depression. And you know, there are quite a few of these Psalms in the Bible, which is one of the reasons why it's important that we look into the Psalms, especially now. The Psalms do not tell us to put on a happy face. The Psalms tell us how life is, and there are times when this is how we feel. Many people, and I've talked to many of you, have really been struggling. I've been struggling up and down during this time of this COVID-19 crisis. We have gone through so many ups and downs. Well, my hope this morning is to give us hope. And we're going to do more than say, oh, come on, just cheer up. Let's be happy, so very happy. Come on, we're all in this together. No. Because, you know, for a person who's been through depression, and I'll bet you a good number of you have experienced real depression. For you, cheering up is the last thing that you can do. In fact, for a person who's depressed, there's no power in them to cheer up, to summon joy. It's gone beyond the fact of mere willpower for someone who's depressed. It's like Psalm 88 says, darkness is my closest friend. There's no light at the end of your tunnel. So let's talk about what depression is, what it isn't. We'll tell you what it's not. Some people believe that depression is just feeling sad. It's a time when you feel miserable. You're feeling under it a little bit. But depression is more than just feeling sad or having a bad hair day. As a person who grew up in the Midwest, January was always a tough stretch because, number one, Christmas is over, and number two, you're now in the coldest, darkest days of winter with no end in sight. SAD really is a thing, seasonal affective disorder. And then for many in the Midwest, Vlad is a thing that you feel every January. Vlad the Impaler always comes around. Vikings losing again, disorder. It happens year after year. But none of these things are real depression. I'm miserable for a while, but you know, I give it a few days. I drink a case of Mountain Dew, and I bounce back. We all feel this way from time to time. Our emotions are in constant flux each and every day. But depression takes on a life of its own. It's not there one day and it's gone the next. What are some of the signs that a person is feeling real depression? The depressed person begins to lose interest in everyday activities, things that they used to even enjoy. There may be a change of appetite. One way or the other, you might, if you're depressed, pick at your food and lose a lot of weight. You might do the opposite and start binging on food and put on a lot of weight. The depressed person will also often show a change in their sleep patterns, and they'll complain of fatigue. You see it in their face, their dull eyes, a sagging posture, a sudden outburst of anger at someone or at themselves. With a person who's just sad, you know, you can turn it around with a good night of sleep or take a walk. There's always hope. The sun's going to come out tomorrow. Come on, tomorrow's June. Summer's here. That doesn't work for someone who's depressed. Hope is gone. There's a verse in the Proverbs 13:12. It says, hope deferred makes the heart sick. That's what it's like for a person who's depressed. Hope has vanished. And consequently, their heart is sick. And that's what depression is. It is a sickness of the heart or soul.